Alright, you guys in YouTube, or wherever you're watching this, won't get the epic intro. It is simple and clean remix, but we were jamming out during the break, and now we are finally here in the best of 5 finals. Starting on Oceanborn, in the top left, we do have Team Liquid's Clem. And in the bottom right, the surprise star of the last couple of months, hitting it to the finals. He is Firefly. Hitting what? I'm not sure. Hitting the Protoss drum. He actually didn't really Protoss very much, to be honest. You couldn't accuse him of Protossing poor old Wayne. It was actually a very standard macro, in which Firefly, frankly, looked better. Very evident in their second game. But that PvZ is a whole different beast, because not only are we in a totally different matchup, in which Protoss have generally agreed they struggle more in, but we also have one of the world's best players. Wayne is great, and technically one of the world's best players is in, like, you know, top 50, but it's kind of insane to think how much better any one of these guys playing this Open Cup here is compared to the normal Twitch chatter, and then how much farther you go above that to explain the round of 32 contestants, the round of 16 contestants, to the finals contestants. StarCraft 2 is like an onion. It has many layers. And Clem is at the center layer? Top layer? I'm not sure which one's the best one to be, but he's the top. He's the top. And while his performance earlier today in the European Open Cup was no gusta, he did lose the finals. Spoiler alert, 0-3 to Raynor. That is also a different matchup. And hopefully he's had a little bit of a nap between. Already starting things off great as he out-micros Firefly's probe harassment. Firefly desperately wanted to kill that one SCV, but was denied. Clem went for an engineering bay block. Didn't even notice that. I was paying attention to the probe. Dying. And Firefly is in an awkward position. Does he take the third Nexus? Does he try and kill this engineering bay and get a very, very late natural? Unfortunately, no matter how you slice it, it's less than ideal. Because this is still a big delay on his natural, even as he grabs the Zealot. And getting a third base is hardly any better. With the now 2 very powerful openers that a Terran player has off of an NG Bay block into Factory Expand. They have the Hellions, which can dart around through mineral lines, and they also have the Cyclones, which aren't harassment, they're just straight up fighters, but when the Protoss is on such limited production, it's totally fine. Firefly is about to showcase why he has a couple of upsets under his belt already. He is because he's a good player. I don't want to take it away from him. He's a good player, guys. But he also has some unorthodox ways of playing, particularly in this matchup. So in this case, he is going to build a 1-base, 3-gate robo, 2-gate, 3-gate robo, all in with the Twilight. He's going to go Dark Shrine after this robo, isn't he? All right, big fan of Firefly. Oh, that is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Clem is going to appear with Cyclones and realize there's no natural. What the hell does that mean? And he's going to go home and defend and say, well, you're 1-basing me, so I guess if I just defend, I win, right? And then he's going to get Dark Templar, or is he? I assume that's the plan here, but Firefly forced a micro. Is not slapping down that Dark Shrine as fast as he could have. There it is. But very much delayed, because he warped in that and 3 Stalkers at the same time, so he had a huge bank. The Warp Prism did save, I think, one of the Stalkers. Oh, it saved both of them. There you go. Saved both the units, but did take some damage, and these Cyclones really got a lot of great information right there. It's still deceiving, because really the power play from Firefly isn't this Warp Prism 1-base build, which Clem is most importantly thinking of right now. How do I die to this 1-base build? The most important thing about Firefly is that he is going into a Dark Shrine. But even that the delay that we saw there is already really big news. But the weird thing is, a delay is usually a great thing for the person who isn't delayed, right? As we see Cyclone v Stalker battles going on here. But there is something to be said about off timings. So while the laterness of a Dark Shrine could open up the possibility of a Raven being built, first of all, is the Raven the intention? Second of all, the off timing might mean that the typical scan held around 4:30 to 5 minutes will be used on a mule instead. Because you're like, oh, I guess it isn't Dark Shrine. Oh no, it's Dark Shrine. So I do want to give some credit to the possibility of the off timing. But Clem, if he knows anything about Firefly and they have played, getting a Raven is definitely the safest thing he can do. And it's not like it's a terrible thing either. The Raven's always helpful. He knows his DTs, he sees the Shimmer, there's not much to do. He did drop a Mule, but he has a second orbital with the scan, and that'll save at least most of his SCVs. It will not save his tank, and it won't save all of the SCVs, because that second DT should not be scanned with the same scan! Firefly with a huge mistake right there. Should have preempted the scan, actually. And never had both DTs all together, or if he did, he should have had both DTs together from the get-go, basically gambling that they'll do a max amount of damage before the scan is slapped down. Third DT is in here, and that's still a bother as the scan number is not ready. But Clem still has 2 bases, as Firefly is still finishing his natural nexus. And after that Raven pops, he will have the benefit of mules. This is an interesting situation, but it's one that I do favor Clem in. He lost 10 SCVs, which sounds like a good amount, but it's actually even an okay amount if the Protoss had 2 base Dark Shrine, in my opinion. That's an okay amount, not a devastating amount. And that's when the Protoss is building 2 times pro production the entire time. But the fact that this was a 1 base emphasis, I really don't think 10 SCVs was enough. There's a big army as well. That's properly protected by a Raven. This opens up maybe some DT run-by opportunities, but not happening so far. One DT tried to get on the action, but was killed. The Stalkers can't handle very much more, and while they are trying to pick apart what they can, that is still a large enough Terran force to be quite scary. No interference matrix, so that Archon will do max amount of damage. Anti-air missile or auto turrets will be helpful. This Zealot follow-up is really annoying, because the tanks are kind of nullified by the charge lots. The Marines and Cyclones struggle against the Archon, especially when it's actually being able to be microed with the Warp Prism. Raven goes down with its last auto turret, hurrah! And a second Raven is following that up. Clem saves 3 Cyclones, a Viking, and a handful of Marines. Firefly saves his Warp Prism and his Archon. Still very much favoring Clem. Unless he dies to a counterattack. There are 6 gateways down. Just about, anyway. And that is a decent amount of charge lots about to enter into Clem's natural. And Clem does not have a very big army. It is very, very crucial that he gets this bunker up and running with Little Sims sitting in an SCV pool. And he gets as many units as possible out. Vikings in the guard against the Warp Prism in the main base. Raven going to be looking for a couple of auto turrets to try and change the nature of this game. And our Firefly is just going to go all in. All in. All in, baby. Tank's not going to be sieged up. Bunker is not going to be repaired. It really should be. It could be, but it's not. Okay, well, maybe it won't matter. Archons are being juggled. So far, they are alive, but not for very much longer. And that Viking is picking away in the Warp Prism. There goes the Warp Prism. There goes the Archons. And there goes Firefly's chances of winning game number 1. He was all types of tricky. He tried to be the Protossy of the Protoss. The Protossist. It did not work. Clem holds strong. In the bottom left of Solaris, it is Team Liquid's Clem. In the bottom right, it is Firefly. What team is he on? Platinum Heroes, apparently. The last 5 times they've played, Firefly tied with Clem 1-1 and then lost 0-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. So it's been kind of close. He's more reliably than ever before at getting a map off of Clem. As before that Masters Coliseum tie, it was nothing but 2 zeros. And another tie, but other than that, 2 zeros. So Firefly is definitely improving, because it's not like Clem has gotten worse the farther up a Ligalac you go. It's the farther up the date goes, right? He's getting nothing but better. The fact that Firefly is now, in the last 2 or 3 months, taking maps off the guy is actually really impressive. Because Clem has gotten nothing but better in general, more dominant, more cutthroat in general. But also, I would say, even more cutthroat in this matchup, too. But I do give Firefly a bigger chance to win a series if it is a best of 3. If he is going to continue being Protossy in this matchup, and he certainly is, 2-gate coming out on Solaris, then that just cheesy. He's cheesy. Cheesers generally have a better chance of winning the shorter a best of is, best of 1, best of 3, their best chances possible, best of 5, best of 7s, so on and so forth. A lot more likely that the defending player will then realize, oh my god, he's a cheeser, and then will be cautious. And unless he backs up his cheese with an equally amazing macro game, if he is forced to then say, I guess you're onto my tricks, I gotta play a macro game, that's not gonna work out well. Clem will win that. Just the way it goes, isn't it? And Clem, I think, has figured out exactly how Firefly plays, even though he still loses a map every now and again. They have played more so than ever before in the last couple of months. Firefly bringing out that 2-gate into a proxy robo. I actually, you know, I will admit to when Protoss is obnoxious, and then I'll do that thing when I play Protoss. You guys know I'm a full-on cheeser these days. But there's actually one thing that I've never been truly tempted to do as a Protoss, and I don't get bothered by when I play Terran. Now I'm bad, so it doesn't really matter, but I actually don't have a lot of faith in proxy robo in this matchup. There was a time where double robo was extremely annoying, and I forget even why. It was a few years ago at this point, though, so a different patch. And, you know, that sucked. But otherwise, I've never really been bothered by it. Far more bothersome was the occasional stupid loss to a cannon rush, the occasional loss to the Void Ray, proxy Void Ray meta, DTs, the most annoying. Charge that all in, gah. You know, but it's actually not so much. But you know, Clem is doing probably the worst build against it? Yeah. Because even though the Hellions, and he's going for a Hellion drop, Starport coming in on proxy as well, the Hellions will destroy the probe line, but then the Hellions won't be as useful in a direct fight as Firefly's unit stalkers that he's going to be warping in. So I think this is one of the worst case scenarios. It'd be really bad if Clem didn't produce anything after those Hellions. If he goes, oh, I'm totally fine, I'm safe, let's just like move this factory off and start producing add-ons and stuff, that would have been terrible. His Hellion drop is going to come in as Firefly is just about ready to go. So Clem is getting a little bit faster of an alert. Clearly Firefly had no alert whatsoever. Very nice warp ins though. Those warp gates had the actual warp in available, and that's important. Nonetheless, probes are going to go down. They are a little stacked up with that shield battery as well. Little fancy pants micro coming down. 3 Hellions still one-shotting when they do get the lineup, and that is 8 probes killed. And the scout that I was talking about, but now we do have the attack from Firefly underway, and Clem actually not paying attention back at home so much, worried about his Cyclone micro. There he sees it now, but it's already too late. Immortal and 2, now 5 Stalkers in the main base. Only Cyclones to hold. Now Cyclones, hella microable. Hella. But is it going to be enough against the also microable Stalker Immortal Warp Prism composition from the Protoss? Methinks no. Methinks. And that Immortal is really devastating, as the SCVs are surprisingly good against it, but the Cyclone isn't. Medivac comes back with what? Hellions? Like, who cares? And the Cyclone is going to get immediately target fired. Nicely done there from Firefly. The SCVs are actually the strongest thing that Clem has. That's a very good position to be in. Bunker is going to finish. Marines get in it, but then what else is there? Another Cyclone? Maybe. As the Stalkers and Immortal once again target fire the factory? Nuh-uh. Not gonna happen. Firefly gonna win game number 2 with that proxy robo. In my opinion, only because Clem was doing like the worst thing against it. If he was going one Rex expand and he hadn't scouted, I'd still have more faith. Maybe it doesn't make any sense because he'd have less units, but I don't fucking care. He'd have more chance. Alright, game number 3, lickety splits, as we now have a tied up series. Top right, Clem, bottom left, Firefly. So Firefly, as I was saying, in my opinion, gets the benefit of the build orders. If Clem had gone into Cyclones immediately, he would have had, 4 or 6 Cyclones, and even though they do get bopped, basically, by Immortals, there's a lot more of a potential there for the Immortal to get surrounded by the SCVs, been forced to pick up in the Warp Prism, allowing the Warp Prism to go into range of the Cyclones, and then the Cyclones to bop the Warp Prism, and then sacrifice 1 or 2 Cyclones to bop the Immortal, which then would have made it an only Cyclone versus Stalker SCV battle, and then I think Clem might, would have a stronger chance to live anyway than that last game, in which priority was first on Hellions. Starport also couldn't make anything to help out because it was floating. And although one Viking probably wouldn't have helped out all that much, it is more than what was currently shown in that last game. Would have had a couple of shots on the Warp Prism, you know? So yeah, it's a more normal looking game. Clem going for 1-Rex expand and getting the SCV scout. Because he actually didn't get any SCV scout in the 2-gate, did he? He would, if he had SCV scouted, which he would not have, especially because he was factory expanding. But if he had, he would have seen 2 gateways and no Nexus, and at any point, and especially after seeing no Nexus, he would have gone scouting around for any type of proxy, and then he would have been better prepared. You know, those Cyclones could have at least delayed the actual push into the main by forcing the Warp Prism to stay away for a little while, and yeah, other things would have happened. But there's no scout, really, from either side. So Firefly default shield battery helped him save some probes. Again, the most important thing was that even though all of his probes could have been killed, his army would have won. And that was very evident. And so Clem also might have changed his build order, knowing he was being cheesed. He at least would have kept the starport at home. Probably would have gone directly into the Cyclones, too. But just because it's 2 bases doesn't mean it's not going to get aggressive. And the most common aggressive opener that we have is going to be a 4-gate. But the timing of this is really odd, isn't it? Am I bonkers? 2 gateways and the blink at the same time. He is skipping. I think he's not skipping probes, but he's still a little delayed on the production. Is it not? Is it not Gateway, Urban Explorer, Nexus, Twilight Council, Gateway, Robo 2 Gateway? I'm actually not super sure about that, but it is a proxy pylon coming down next to the Ursa Dak. Not the Ursa Dawn. And this is a 3 gates, no robo. Is it quicker? The Twilight Council was pretty much similar time. I'm not exactly sure, honestly. But it is different. It is different. Clem, not going to have to worry about the Warp Prism in his main base. He's still going to have to worry about a good number of Stalkers. It seems like he's already taking the Twilight Council seriously. You know, like, it's all he's seen. You can even see the timing of the gateways that I'm scratching my head about. He doesn't know. He knows the Twilight Council. He's guessing that it's going to be Blink Stalkers. There's a chance that it's a Dark Shrine. And I don't think Clem's respecting that chance enough, to be honest, but fortunately for him, it's not. And so, defending against Blink Stalkers, absolutely 100% the way to go. But this is without that same mobility that the Warp Prism would usually allow, and without those instantaneous reinforcements. Aggressive Blink on top of the tank is going to be successful. Bunker not yet done. And those Marines don't seem to need it. SCVs are pulled in, but none dead as of yet. Only 1 falling so far, and that bunker will finish, although it will be on fire immediately. So a mass repair is going to have to happen, but there it is. Second tank's also out. Could replace the Marines with the Marauders, too. And Firefly's basic 3-gate off of, again, no Robo, no Warp Prism. It's going to be disaster. What the hell? Oh, Jesus. Oh, Lord, baby, Jesus. That was just not even really a game right there. Clem, the 2-1. Probably also scratching his head a little bit about that as well. Just the... I mean, it was already going poorly, like, just to be clear. The final Stalker movement is actually not important, but, you know. The final Stalker movement was extra questionable. The entire game plan there fizzled when the tank went down and the Marines didn't seem to care. The Marines are like, okay, we're still killing you, I guess. I'm honestly asking chat, though, to explain that build order to me. Did it hit faster than a 4-gate or a 3-gate with a robo? Potential final game on hard lead. In the bottom right now, up 2-1, he is Clem. The top left, it is Firefly. The only thing I can see going better for Firefly in that last game is if Clem was out of position. There could have been slightly fewer Marines if it was a 2-1-1 instead of a 3-1. But I don't think that's what he was hoping for. Okay. And, you know, if the bunker didn't finish, Stalkers do outrange Marines. I mean, that is an actual problem. But the Marines really got a lot of shots off with the Stalkers dedicating to the tank kill like that. So even though if there was officially no bunker even on the way, those Marines could have started to have gone down to the Stalker micro. Still felt like it was already solidly in Clem's favor after that blink in. I just don't see the benefit of doing that without the Warp Prism. I very much understand the fast 3 gateway, no Twilight Council opener and how fast that hits and how ferocious it can be. But the Twilight Council 3 gate, no robo attack committed? That, I didn't quite see the potential there, but I've certainly said this before and then seen a similar thing happen in the next game and gone, oh, that's what he wanted. Oh, okay, all right. So I'm certain there was supposed to be something different. Firefly is doing something entirely different, so it will not be the same thing and get to see a different iteration. It's going to be a proxy gateway, 1 base. And Clem is going to go for a factory expand. It's also kind of funny that Clem did get seemingly more benefit from just 1-rax expanding SCV scouting than he had in the previous game, but it's obviously very different. That's a bit reductionist. It's just that he did have a very solid setup that's acknowledged the possibility of a Blink Stalker attack, and that was good enough. But if it was DTs, he could have been in some trouble. DTs would have been scanned, at least the initial ones, but you do run out of scans eventually, and there was no star report. And the second game that was a disaster for Clem, that was really just because he was also being cheeky. If he's not cheeky and he plays rather standard, the factory expand is safe, and if he wanted to, he could also add an SCV scout, but he does not. He just waits for his Reaper. The Reaper gets in the main base. He's 2 gases. He's 1 base. He's 2 gateways. Sorry, I can't count. That was a 3rd gateway in proxy. And the Reaper will even skedaddle after killing 3 probes, so this is just the best case scenario. Bunker up as Clem takes the threats of the 2 gateway opener seriously. Is maybe even expecting the robo again, which is the first game. Wait, was it? No, that was the second game. I should have turned. Anyway, he might be taking the threat of a robo seriously, but it is just 3 gateways off of 1 base, which I think is already failed. Like, there's a reason that this isn't a build so much. It's a hardcore cheese. And I think when your Terran opponent is still on 1 base high ground with a bunker and knows you're doing it, I think you just fail. It's just not a thing because its ability to navigate scenarios is rather low. It's like, well, does it do it or doesn't it? The bunker's going to go down, no repair, but the tank pops out, and that's just so good against the Stalkers. I mean, good lord. I mean, good lord. That was not it. And this series has me a little confused, but Clem wins 3-1. All right, good stuff, good stuff. 3-1 does get a finals win for today, although he missed out on Europe, and that'll be it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the subs and resubs on the stream, and I guess I'll put this up on YouTube. I appreciate Firefly's commitment to the Protoss race as a core cheese idea. But